Hello. Make sure everything sounds okay in here. We're good? Great. Excellent. Well, let's begin. Honored guests, faculty, learners, and graduates, I would like to acknowledge that we are on the unceded territory of the Lekwungen people. We are thankful to be able to have our ceremony here today. And welcome to the commencement ceremony for the PSII graduating class of 2021. Normally, when I prepare this talk for the graduation ceremony, I try to think of something unique about the school year, but 2020, 21, nothing really came to me. Sorry, principal humor. Like dad jokes, there's a Venn diagram somewhere. Graduates, so much could be said about this year and the state of the world today. We could talk about hardship. We could talk about illness and loss and inconvenience and disappointment and fear. This period could certainly be catastrophized without much difficulty, and justifiably so. And so, by extension, your emergence out of the dark tunnel into the light could be seen as a triumph, a victory of perseverance. But this year, and all it contained, has not been something to overcome, to be conquered. It is now, after all, a part of your lives, a part of you. And you wouldn't want to conquer yourself, would you? If your life could be examined at the end of it in the way that we can examine a tree by looking at its rings, this year would be represented by an interesting ring. Beyond just counting the rings to determine a tree's age, we can learn from details in a ring's thickness and color about what that tree experienced and when. The ring in your tree from this year would indeed be different, but beyond this unusual, anomalous ring would be many newer rings, likely more normal ones. In other words, this year, as strange as it has been, is incorporated into what you are and who you will become. You will grow around this anomaly, these setbacks, these inconveniences, these tragedies. There is nothing to shed or resolve or discharge. It is important, of course, to acknowledge how difficult times or extremely unusual times affect us and those around us. We do not and should not forget. But nor should we regret or fear or wonder if we have somehow been unnaturally altered or damaged. Your experience, as all experiences, are absorbed into the totality of yourself. There is no part in this speech where I will ask you to consider what a gift this pandemic was, how the suffering is somehow balanced by the learning that took place. But I will say that it is important not to squander the learning that did take place, about your own resilience, your limits, your values, your relationships, your goals. This graduation ceremony, sometimes referred to as a commencement, a beginning, comes at a very interesting time. I'm always a little uncomfortable talking about graduation as though there is some magic switch that is somehow flicked on and now your real life begins, as though you have been waiting in some kind of green room in a half-human state. You are already living real lives, and now you will continue them. But this year, the concept of commencement, of starting something new, does ring true. As we all move together through the mysterious and ever-changing stages of the restrictions associated with the pandemic, it is heartening to be moving in a mostly positive direction. While we have the freedom to change things back to the way they were, increasingly over the next few weeks and months, we also have the freedom to hang on to some of what we might have actually enjoyed in the past 16 months, or at least to see clear 2020 vision, in clear 2020 vision, the things we really value. So much of the way we live our lives happens on automatic pilot, and this crisis forced us to examine those living patterns consciously. If there is a positive lesson to be had from this experience, it is that we can remain conscious, mindful of how we are living our lives. We are reminded of the agency we have and the freedom to choose so many aspects of our lives. Ironically, in a school that was designed to maximize that very agency and to help people learn about self-expression, self-regulation, and self-actualization, we just experienced 16 months of learning in a highly restrictive environment with less connection to the greater community and with one another than ever before. Our school name has two parts to it, inquiry and innovation. We talk about inquiry a lot, and sometimes we give innovation short shrift in our description of ourselves as a school. These past 2 years, we have seen PSI learners innovate. Some of the innovation has been within their personalized inquiry pathways, but some has been of a different nature. innovating new ways of being, creating new ingenious social structures and workarounds, finding new ways to have needs met and to help meet the needs of others. This year's graduates will have many school experiences to reference as they move beyond PSI and create new rings in their trunk. They should be proud of the accomplishments and especially proud of their learning. I personally feel good knowing that these young people here today, who have been so mature, calm, focused, and innovative, are the ones who will now step into the next part of their existence, where the change they bring can have even more far-reaching effects. And grads, please remember, the future isn't owned by someone else who has it all figured out and is waiting for you to arrive there. No one has been there yet. The future is pristine and untouched. The future is yours. Congratulations.
Ashley, it looks like we're first. Okay. Ashley, today I address you in rhythm and rhyme, not all my own words. This is not a crime. They fit you so well, they fit this whole bunch. It's a very long poem, so I hope you've had lunch. Most of these words, they come from a doctor. A few are my own. I hope they aren't awkward. Congratulations, today is your day. You're off to great places, you're off and away. You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, you can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're not on your own, but you know what you know, and you are the gal who'll decide where to go. You'll look up and down streets, look 'em over with care. About some you will say, I don't choose to go there. With your head full of brains and your shoes full of feet, you're too smart to go down any not so good street. And you may not find any you'll want to go down. In that case, of course, you'll head straight out of town. It's opener there in the wide open air. Out there things can happen and frequently do to people as brainy and footsy as you. And when things start happening, don't worry, don't stew. Just go right along, you'll start happening too. Oh, the places you'll go. You'll be on your way, you'll see great sights. You'll join the high flyers who soar to great heights. You won't lag behind because you have the speed. You'll pass the whole gang and you'll soon take the lead. Wherever you fly, you'll be the best of the best. Wherever you go, you will top all the rest. Except when you don't, because sometimes you won't. I'm sorry to say, but sadly it's true, that bang-ups and hang-ups can happen to you. You can get all hung up in a prickly perch, and your gang will fly on, you'll be left in a lurch. You'll come down from the lurch with an unpleasant bump, and chances are then that you'll be in a slump. And when you're in a slump, you're not in for much fun. Unslumping yourself is not easily done. You will come to a place where the streets are not marked, some windows are lighted, but some of them dark. Do you dare to stay out? Do you dare to go in? How much can you lose? How much can you win? And if you go in, should you turn left or right and 3/4, or maybe not quite? Or go down around back and sneak in from behind? Simple it's not, I'm afraid you will find, for a mind maker upper to make up their mind. You can get so confused that you'll start to race down long wiggled roads at a breaknecking pace and grind on for miles, cross weirdish wild space, headed, I fear, towards a most unpleasant place. The waiting place. Waiting for a fish to bite, or waiting for the wind to fly a kite, or waiting around for a Friday night, or waiting perhaps for their Uncle Jake, or a pot to boil, or a better break, or a string of pearls, or a pair of pants, or a wig of curls, or another chance, or possibly for a pandemic to pass. No, that's not for you. Somehow you'll escape all that waiting and staying. You'll find the bright places where the boom bands are playing. With banner flip-flapping, once more you'll ride high, ready for anything under the sky. Oh, the places you go, there is fun to be done, there are points to be scored, there are games to be won. On you will go, though the weather be foul, on you will go through the hack and cracks howl. Onward may many a frightening creak, though your arms may get sore and your sneakers may leak. on you will hike, and I know you'll hike far and face up to your problems, whatever they are. You'll get mixed up, of course, as you already know. You'll get mixed up with many strange birds as you go. So be sure when you step with care and great tact, and remember that life's a great balancing act. Just never forget to be dexterous and deft, and never mix up your right foot with your left. And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. 98.75% guaranteed. So be your name, Bonnie Monty, Luigi or Lilith, be it Mad Juju, Jabberwocky or Wild Eye. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your path is waiting, so get on your way. Ashley, it's been a delight to get to know you and your creations over the last 3 years. It's been a challenging grad year, and the path forward has not always been clear. You have made it. You are taking with you new stories, new techniques in illustration, and some old characters too. I'm very excited for you and for what comes next. What am I supposed to do?
Stand over there.
Thank you.
Ashley, do you want to stand? Yeah. There we go.
What's that? We're good?
Masks on or off?
We want to take a picture with the masks off. I think
Sure.
your distance.
We're far enough away?
Yeah, we're far enough.
Okay. Congratulations.
Okay, I have a really quiet voice, so if I need to go louder, let me know. Okay. Most learners I work with fall into one of two categories. One group tends to be thoughtful and gives ideas thorough consideration, the joys in the learning and figuring things out. Often, for people like this, those thoughts never make it out of their head, or maybe just come out naturally when relevant in conversation, particularly with their org teachers. These people don't put energy into making anything from what they've learned because that learning itself was what held meaning. On the opposite end of the spectrum are the doers, the people who jump into things before they've figured anything out because, hey, they'll figure it out as they go. They make things, they might not be good things, but they make them, and they learn a lot along the way. Elias is this perfect balance between those two types of people. He makes really good things. He researches, considers various perspectives, different approaches. He takes into account the collective knowledge of experts in the field and balances this with his own experiences. He considers purpose, intent, and audience, and he uses everything he's learned to make beautiful, beautiful things. And yes, I realize that some of those things Elias makes are YouTube videos of people playing video games that involve profanity, warfare, and massive casualty numbers. I'm still calling it beautiful because of the precision, the skill, and the flair with which he pulls them off. Elias is the person others want to have on their team. He's the person others turn to when they have a question about how to bring something that they're working on into being. He's the person others want to bounce their ideas off because of these reasons. 1, he's kind, humble, and approachable. He may look at me with a quirky half smile when I ask something particularly obtuse. I'm not even remotely in the same league as Elias when it comes to design or marketing strategies, but it's always a kind smile. He's knowledgeable. He's done his research on pretty much everything related to everything he's interested in, which is pretty much everything, except science and poetry. He thinks of cause and effect and is deliberate in his actions. He considers flow, impact, and audience. He understands process. After graduation, Elias will be doing a summer internship participating in the launch of an app for a tech company. Following that, he'll be pursuing a combined psychology and computer science degree at UVic and getting ready to apply to transfer to Stanford because he's Elias. Elias, it's been an honor to work with and learn alongside you for the last 3 years. Congratulations on your graduation.
Hey guys. Ava, this grad speech is still in the development phase, but don't worry. I have meetings with innovative entrepreneurs, city councilors, and experimental technology developers coming up later this week, and hopefully they'll be able to give me some feedback on how best to grow these ideas. First, I tried to develop an app to assist in the generation of this grad speech. The idea was simple. This app would collect and document comments from all the staff. Teachers would simply input feedback and comments based on algorithms and behavioral observations of you. It would create a program that would instantly respond to when you point your finger at us shouting, okay, so 2 things. And this app would know how to respond to 2 things at once, matching your intensity, enthusiasm, and volume. And then I thought, no, this needs to be bigger. I had to try to develop a sound sculpture for the delivery of the speech. You would simply walk into a telephone booth installed by the ocean and put a helmet on your head, and then you would hear our voices. The idea was that it would be recorded sound bites from all of us, controlled by which direction the wind was blowing, and it would be like all of your teachers were inside of your head. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll just build my own darkroom so that I can deliver the speech in a series of analog photographs, a compelling photo essay in black and white to illustrate the ways in which you've impacted our learning environment. And then I tried to develop a website to document this speech, one that would explain all of our intentions with an online store component where you could purchase this collective teacher box set with all of our well wishes and snippets of advice and stickers and merch and postcards sent from the future. But then I realized I really hated folding pizza boxes. And then it dawned on me that I was really getting ahead of myself. If this speech was going to be big, I needed cash and fast. I needed seed money, grant funding, and some hefty scholarships if I was going to be able to pull any of this off. But then I remembered that you had kind of already done this stuff. So back to the grad speech drawing board for me. Wish me luck because you obviously don't need it.
Gabe, you're tucked behind a camera. I have yet to find a topic about which Gabe doesn't already know something. He is perhaps the most widely read, researched, and curious human of any age I have ever met. Some of the lines of inquiry Gabe has pursued over the years, 4 of them, include how to build a LINAC, a particle accelerator, how monotheistic religion uses pastoral imagery, how the mechanisms of genetic dominance play a role in CRISPR technology, how to teach Old English, a language that's no longer spoken and can only be found in writing, and how to derive mathematical proofs, and perhaps the crowning achievement, how Jeff and Anton would look if they were combined to form a single monstrous entity. If that sounds impressive, it's because it is. More important than these topics, however, is Gabe's approach. He's a divergent thinker, one who pulls in multiple disciplines, perspectives, and techniques in pursuit of a single problem, which, unsurprisingly, ends up morphing into multiple problems, all of which Gabe wants to explore. This makes the joy, of learning a much more challenging task, and also a more worthy one. If there's one thing I've learned from Gabe, it's that no question should be left unconsidered, and that knowledge is not as straightforward as we might wish. Okay, that might have been 2 things. Next year, Gabe will be attending U of T to pursue his interests in physics and mathematics. This will be but the next step in his academic path, which he sees leading to an eventual professorship. I hope that he takes the time to continue to express himself through art, music, and the many languages, Japanese, ASL, Old English, etc., that he's been learning over the years. We teach at PSII that subjects are artificial silos that disconnect information in arbitrary and often damaging ways. If anyone can prove our case, it's Gabe. I hope you sketch, sing, and speak your math throughout your academic career. All the best on your long and exciting journey.
There we go. Good.
Panorama feature.
Good afternoon, everybody, and congratulations on your tremendous achievement. For those of you who don't know me, I'm not just some old guy who wandered in off the street. I come in here like a ghost a couple times a week, usually kicking kids out of the music room so that I can actually do something. Anyway, congratulations to you too. But before we do that, I would like to personally pay tribute to this incredible staff. Every time I come in this place, I'm impressed by the passion, the dedication, and the joy they take in dealing with you. It's a tribute to them, and it's really a tribute to you. Now on to the good stuff. Daniel, you see that I've got dressed up just for you. Actually, it was more just for your parents in Mexico. Daniel's been around here for about 3 years. And during that time, I have seen this young man grow from a somewhat tentative young guy into a confident, curious, passionate young man. And that has come through both what he's done here and what he's done at Victoria Academy of Ballet. Daniel always impresses me because he's got the courage to laugh at me when I make mistakes, to roll his eyes when he'd rather I said something else, and to even occasionally do some of the homework that I assign. Occasionally. But he does it all with a great sense of humor. And I have such respect for this young man because he's come here, hasn't been home for a couple of years, and yet continues to carry on. Next year, he's going to continue on at Victoria Academy of Ballet, into the bridge program for a couple of years there. But I can tell you all that if you get a chance to see this young man dance, you will be amazed at his ability, particularly in modern dance, literally moving me beyond words sometimes. And for me, that's pretty tough. Daniel, I'd like to address your parents now in Mexico. You can be sure that Daniel has had a good education here, that he's brought a lot of stuff to the table here, and that he's been well looked after here. You can be proud of him, and you can be proud that he has brought a little bit of Mexico here to us. And of that, we're really proud. So Daniel, come on up, and congratulations. I want you with your mask, but you're allowed to take it off. Okay? You can take it off. I've got a mustache with his mask. Buenos suerte. Buenos suerte. Buenas suerte.
Oh, very good. Well, it is difficult to sum up Josh in a brief speech. Ceremony's what, 90 minutes? Okay. That's okay. Okay, we'll try. I knew there was something amazing about Josh the first time I really got to see him interact with others. And this was at a conference that we ran just the spring before he joined the school that we did. It's called Summit at the Bay. We held at a large high school out in Colwood. I think within about 8 minutes, he knew all 250 people at the conference well. They were all friends with him, and he was all friends with them, and he knew everyone from PSII who he was going to be working with that fall, just like 8 minutes or less. It was incredible. I could go on for a while about Josh's sense of humor, but you've all experienced it, so you don't need me to. But it's his magical power that disarms people who may be uncomfortable for whatever reason. And it gives him the ability to join in on any conversation with any person that he encounters, making him comfortable with them and making them comfortable with him, and often making everybody comfortable with each other. He brings people together. But his sense of humor is matched only by his graciousness. This one's harder to see sometimes, but because he does it ingeniously and kind of quietly. He's innovative in engineering-wise, as we all know, but also socially. He's helped a good number of people find a way to fit in socially in the school and beyond. He's actively created and proposed solutions that would directly help individuals when others might have either written them off or just said, sink or swim, you're on your own. Josh doesn't do that. The reason this works so well is because he does it sincerely. It's not done as an act of charity, and that's why it works. He really means it. But it wouldn't work without that engineer's mind. And whether he's applying that mind to things mechanical or digital or social, he has the same aptitude. He can see a problem or an opportunity. In fact, he usually turns problems into opportunities. He can see multiple solutions very quickly. He can consider all of those solutions before diving in. And then he takes action, the ingredient that is missing for so many people. His unique way of looking at the world is going to translate into seeing problems and opportunities that other people just don't see. And then he's going to consider the solutions, and then he's going to solve them. So I'm very excited that Josh is graduating today. He's going to be going on into a field that allows him to do this on a regular basis for the rest of his life. Not that he wouldn't do it anyway, no matter what he was doing. So congratulations, Josh.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Sorry, I don't know why I had to pick up a book there.
I'm back. Did you miss me? Okay. On to Finn. Finn is a often quiet, world changer. He's maximized every square inch of the school over his years here, dabbling in almost everything that we have to offer. There's even an early video where someone was trying to describe the school in pictures, and I think Finn was in, 95% of that video. It's like, there's Finn in the music room, there's Finn in the electronics room, there's Finn in the classroom, there's Finn talking to people. It was amazing. He's done it all here. And the reason that he does that, I believe, is that he's a natural born learner. Finn just wakes up in the morning and starts learning things. He learns, he thinks about what he's learning, that metacognitive piece that we all strive for. And he works at things also until he gets them to a very high standard, and his standards are very high. An example, hey, how's that new website coming along? You know, the first website you've ever made in your entire life. Oh, it's basically done and perfectly organized and indexed and optimized for search engines. And I've got blogs set up and I've got subscription things. Like, oh, okay. Really glad I could help you with that. Excellent. I'm just going to go over here to help other people. I will say, though, that we watched a shift in Finn in the last few years, and it's hard to pinpoint exactly when that took place, but it was a shift from joining movements that were important to him to creating movements that were important to him. And this is a big reason why Finn has done some of the things that he's done in the last couple of years, especially. I think he learned from being in organizations that do a very good job, and even from some who have a very good mission but don't necessarily do a really good job of achieving that mission, put it all together, and he's got the best of both worlds. The other thing about this, which is extraordinary for someone who starts missions and organizations like this, is that he is open-minded. And this actually makes his activism that much more powerful. Even on topics where he certainly knows more than many people in the room, he makes space for new points of view, including those that challenge his own thinking. I see him looking up and to the left with his hand. It's almost like the picture that you would see if you were looking at a picture of someone considering another point of view in the dictionary, and that's Finn's face. You've probably seen it a lot of times. He really does that. And then he adds that into his own schema, and now his thinking is richer and his ideas are better. He's not close-minded. I look forward to seeing what Finn does also as and what he creates as he moves into the next chapter of his life. All I know, though, is that because of his motivation and the fact that his motivation is all based on making the world a better place, that's really what everything what it comes down to for Finn, that whatever direction he's on is going to be the right one, and I will like to be on it as well. So congratulations, Finn.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
You need that.
Caden, where did you end up? Oh, there you are. Thank you. Caden is an actor, an author, a gentleman, and a scholar. He is careful, considered, expressive, and inventive. He makes powerful observations that pull from many perspectives, including scientific information about space, the formation of the planet, and how life developed upon it, profound literary insight, and a strong understanding of history, societal structure, injustice, and power dynamics. These many perspectives, combined with his enthusiasm for learning, willingness to take on challenges, and impressive creativity, have made working with Caden these last 4 years an absolute joy. I never quite know what Caden's going to bring up when I sit down beside him, or this year when we both log on to Zoom, because he lives a quietly large life, one that sees him continually seeking out opportunities to learn and participate in new experiences. Over the years here at PSII, Caden has learned to ballroom dance. He's written and performed a scene from an original stage play, Tybalt, Prince of Cats, has volunteered his time at the Royal BC Museum archives working with paleontological samples, has begun writing a novel, has traveled to Rome, has played a challenging role in a local play, The Summer Bucket List, has completed a medieval studies course at UVic, and has performed the lead in Romeo and Juliet on a remarkable Zoom adaptation of the play. That was hard. I had never ever liked the character of Romeo until Caden played a softer and yet less pathetic aspect of him that allowed me to experience the whole play in a different, much more meaningful light. Caden puts a great deal of thought into understanding character motivation. He focuses on the details such as how they would move, where their gaze would fall, and the inflection in their lines. This same level of analysis can be witnessed in his writing and in conversation. Caden does not live at the surface, but continually dives to greater and greater depth. Next year, Caden will be attending UVic. He's holding off on choosing a program of study until he's had the chance to explore the different opportunities UVic provides. Whatever he settles on, I have no doubt that Caden will bring insight, intellectual curiosity, and a quiet joy to his studies. Congratulations on your graduation.
Jaden, I can't see you. There you are. Okay. Hi. Thank you, Martin. As far as I can tell, Jaden is a painter. It has been an absolute pleasure, in fact, a total joy and personal dream come true, to watch 3 of this year's grads completely embrace studio life. Alongside Ashley and Liv, Jaden has recently plunged into the rhythm that is an artist's routine. I would say that this is most simply described in that all the other things that happen outside of that creative space begin to fit into one category. And that category is all the things that you're doing until you can get back into the creative space, into your studio. In actual fact, I believe Jayden led this charge without intention and possibly without noticing the impact she was having on those around her. She found a place in the painting studio and quietly began an art practice this spring that has changed the fabric of the space. In recent days, it has been difficult to find a spot to work in this studio, and I have high hopes for taking this energy into next year as it is catching on to non-grads as well. It is very likely that Jayden is not aware of the impact she has made here, as I had not pointed it out to her until just now. But her calm, deliberate, and dedicated practice brought a spark to the space that modeled for others what it looks like to dedicate oneself to this type of practice. Sometimes it is the quiet leaders that move us. During a year of disconnection that was heavily bridged by online technologies as a key to communication and education, Jayden came back into the space and implemented a physically engaged practice with her work. Quietly and diligently, she moved through the space, finding the tools and methods that supported her development. She took a few risks and found a new medium. She studied and observed. She discovered that a good artist's easel is adjustable and, in fact, can be exactly as tall as one's back needs it to be. She has learned how to manipulate and use oil paint to describe her visions. When she took breaks, she didn't go far. Her coffee or tea was always around to hold her place. The true mark of a comfortable studio artist is, in fact, cold coffee. And most importantly, she learned how to lose track of time. Again, I have not yet pointed out just how great that I think this is. Jayden found flow as she plunged into her work. Flow is described as the mental state of being completely present and fully immersed in a task. When in flow, the creator and the universe become one. Outside distractions recede from consciousness, and one's mind is fully open and attuned to the act of creating. For Jayden, I believe we are now looking at a beginning. A few days ago, she stated that she was both ready and not ready to leave school. Jayden isn't much of a talker in the studio. She is much too busy doing and planning and scratching out every little detail and constructing and reconstructing her compositions with care. My hunch is that the feeling of not being ready to leave has something to do with the fact that around her, her culture of doing and making and creating has sprung up, and there is currently a flux of creative energy that is hard to walk away from. Her being ready to leave has been demonstrated in the confidence that she has found in knowing where she belongs. I recently underestimated just how tiny she could make some lettering, and I won't be underestimating her anytime soon. I've spoken today about just one aspect of Jayden's learning and growth here, but I know, Jayden, that for you, there are many more pieces. Jayden, you did this. I know you won't let anyone tell you what you can or can't accomplish, and I look forward to observing what's next for you. But mostly, I hope that you continue to lose track of time.
Some people speak of a sixth sense, having the knowledge of something that the typical five senses can't detect. Liv, I think, has a seventh sense, a sense that allows them to perceive something, experience something, understand something instantly through its symbology. When I see a picture of architecture, I notice the strength or aesthetics of the structure, the engineering that went into its construction. When I listen, perhaps, to the speech of a person that society has marginalized, I hear the words and will likely feel emotion in response. I believe Liv's experience is different. They're aware of what that building means as a concept, perhaps as an unintended status symbol, or a tangible symbol of shelter, or as an expression of wistfulness. When they listen to a speech, they're hearing the years, decades, centuries of decisions that humans have made that have led to this precise moment and that have resulted in this person's experience of the world. This is not an easy understanding to carry. Perhaps it seems a burden more often than a gift, but it's one that Liv carries with grace, with care, and with unfathomable bravery. Liv is an artist in every sense of the word. They paint with pigments, with blank space, and with eloquent words. While others shy away from the gray area in favor of the ease of the black and white, the right and wrong, Liv braves the murkiness. They allow that gray to expand compassionately and in ways that recognize that we create black and white, and that in some ways, at some times, this dichotomy squashes the rights of an individual, invalidates their experiences, and fails to accurately capture the reality of what is. Liv asks philosophical and sociological questions not necessarily in search of an answer, but with the earnest and intuitive understanding that the importance of such a pursuit is in the exploration itself and not in the destination. There are few quick or simple answers with Liv. One question leads to another, to another, to another, and the profundity of their questions can leave my mental jaw on the floor. Hopefully not my actual jaw. I think I've done a pretty good job of hiding it because I didn't want to scare you off. So, as you pursue studies in sociology and writing at UVic next year, and as you continue creating art, know that what you're actually doing is continuing the questioning you started before you even arrived at PSII. The search to capture the infinite complexities of an infinite universe, at least for a moment, on canvas, on a page, and in your mind's eye. We hope that you'll continue to share your work with us. I'm super excited to see where you take yourself through academia and beyond.
Kennedy, where are you, Kennedy, back there? Actually, you know what, Kennedy, this doesn't feel quite right. Let me try that. I think that feels a little bit more natural. Kennedy, can I see you there? I don't know if you guys know Kennedy. That's what Kennedy looks like most of the time. How about for today, though, let's break this digital barrier down, Kennedy. It's really nice to see you in the school, face to face. But now let's give a little bit of a backstory about who Kennedy is and how she's gotten to this place today. Kennedy's a remarkable young woman with a dedication to her goals and a drive to achieve them that even few adults possess, myself included. They say first impressions are everything, but what about those who consistently impress? Kennedy first began to impress me with her talent for the written and spoken word. Clearly a lover of literature and poetry, it is always a joy to read her analysis of others' work and discuss poetic devices and deconstructing the text to find new meaning. Kennedy further impressed me when I asked her one day why she was leaving school early. "I'm going to dance," she replied. See, Kennedy is a ballet dancer and was dancing every day in addition to attending high school. Recognizing the challenges and immense workload that this would place upon her, we began discussing new ways of providing something unique to meet her needs. Kennedy was one of the first students I've worked with to complete multiple grade levels of a course in just 1 year. Let alone the fact that she would cram her entire school day into the morning so that she could dance in the afternoons. Kennedy's drive is unrelenting. I remember discussing this condensed timeline with you back a couple of years ago and was careful not to sugarcoat how supremely difficult it would be for a student to do so while getting top marks, and it was up to her to step up and make this happen. Kennedy, I'm so impressed to say, but more than that, so proud to say that you have earned this diploma. You have achieved your goals and that you set out for yourself while at PSII. And when the world went through a massive hurdle in your path, you found a way to push through. Sure, it meant that all we got to see of you most days was a Zoom head on a screen, but we're also proud of your accomplishment, and today, so should you. Kennedy, this diploma is yours. Come and claim it.
Sorry that you're seeing so much of me. I happened to decide that having a lot of grads in my organizational group this year was a good idea. Thought about that until I had to write all these speeches. I am really happy to get to talk about you, though. So next up, I get to talk about Mina. Mina is quietly and ravenously curious. She asks difficult questions that have complex answers. She has an astounding set of research skills that allow her to find the information needed to formulate the complex and yet subtle answers she reaches. She articulates her findings clearly and concisely. There's considerable bravery in the path Mina's inquiries have taken, and she's delved into a number of challenging topics unflinchingly. Some of those topics include human experimentation by Nazis, the method of action of various poisons, the life cycles of some very bizarre parasites, and dissections of a diverse range of organisms. While some may find those topics morbid or distasteful, Mina's approach is anything but. She has a keenly scientific mind that wants to get to the heart of the why and the how. She approaches each of her topics analytically, thoroughly, and with a commitment to truth. We need more scientists like this. We need more people to peek under the hood to get a good look at what's going on so we can fix the things that aren't working properly. And we need more artists who are following scientific pathways. Mina will be pursuing a career in nursing starting at Camosun next year. In true Mina fashion, she decided that this is what she wanted to do and has put everything into this pursuit. From a teacher point of view, this is a little terrifying. What about a backup? My mind was screaming. But I've come to trust that Mina absolutely knows what she is doing. She knows where she's going and how to get there. And one day, if I ever need to go into surgery, I sincerely hope that Mina will be one of the nurses in the OR, because I trust so strongly that she will know exactly what to do, even on an unpredictable operating table. Mina, it's been an honor to work with you these past 2 years. Wishing you all the best in the years to come. Congratulations on your graduation.
Kira. This is your daily horoscope for June 12th, 2021. Mercury, the planet of communications, is in retrograde. This planet rests well in its home sign of Gemini. This transit may amplify restlessness, miscommunications, and your life may feel confusing or out of order. So the stars offer you some advice. Do complete unfinished projects. Don't jump to conclusions. Do declutter your closet, and don't call your ex. Experts agree that Mercury rules anything that begins with redo, reassess, repair, repeat, redesign, or revisit. This is hard for the paradox that is Gemini, that conflicted contradiction, the extroverted introvert, the overthinker overthinking how to overthink. Your perfected sense of perfection can be at odds with your sense of perception. Hyperconsciousness can turn hypercritical and turn all into nothing. So the stars offer you some advice. Do embrace failure. Don't be so hard on yourself. Do enjoy the journey and don't focus solely on the destination. Because of your intelligence and decisiveness, you may agonize about the important decisions in your life, But conditions are favorable for you, dear Gemini, even under Mercury's impending shadow period. With your frighteningly quick thinking, your ability to create beauty and to challenge beauty, your infectious generosity of spirit, your penchant for building community and inciting activism, your drive to make the world a better and more beautiful place points to bright things, bright stars, complex constellations that will sure to illuminate any night sky. I leave you with your astro mantra, according to astrology.com for the year 2021. You are limitless.
Noah has deeply impressed me with his sincerity, his earnestness, and his caring. He sees people as individuals and holds off on passing judgment. He's genuinely curious about others' perspectives and lived experiences, and carefully considers a wide variety of options before reaching a conclusion. This, along with a genuine appreciation for the natural world, makes him a particularly skilled and conscientious traveler. On our spring break to Japan last year, right before all the borders closed, Noah demonstrated quiet leadership and was a calm and solid presence in a sea of teenage excitement and exhausted teachers, so thank you. Once we put COVID in the rearview mirror, Noah intends to spend more time traveling, back to Asia, potentially to teach English, or maybe to Costa Rica to take part in the ecological conservation efforts that are happening in this biodiverse region. Noah has many talents. He's a musician, a writer, even if he hasn't acknowledged that yet, and a skilled gardener. I fully expect that, as an old man, Noah will be a person young people flock to hear his stories, not only because he's a skilled narrator, his writing has a super strong narrative voice, but because he will have quietly lived an adventurous life, one that he won't even realize is extraordinary until he's surrounded by people wanting to hear more about it. Noah, I don't think you are aware yet of the rarity of your approach to life, or the impact that the simple act of your acceptance has on others. But I see it. I wish you happy journeys, interesting travels, and rich experiences. Please keep me updated so that I can live vicariously through them. Congratulations on your graduation. You worked really hard for it.
There you are, Martin. Yeah, just lean a little to the side there, Martin. Martin Sargent, everybody. Martin came to PSII with a strong desire to be helpful to others. Martin is thoughtful, he's caring, and he's sympathetic. He wanted to help people to have rich and rewarding experiences with whatever they wanted to do, and he has spent his time at PSII exploring how best he could help others reach those goals. Initially, Martin's interests lay in the virtual world, taking our humble VR setup and transforming it into a heavily used learning experience for all of our students to enjoy. Martin's interest in technology and a drive to help people's experiences with using it, he took on the responsibility of managing our school's tech school-wide while helping onboard new learners and troubleshoot the many daily hiccups along the way. Martin is a man of many talents. My first glimpse into his mind and how well he could master something was with the Rubik's Cube. His first year here, Martin would spend his mornings memorizing algorithms and setting personal best times. Mr. Rubik's once himself said that his cube was a question waiting to be answered. Martin did not wait around for anyone to give him answers. He sought his own. Bringing his love of singing into a small school choir, his love of dance into a year-long ballroom class for other learners, ultimately Martin discovered a way of bringing his compassion for others and his passion for learning and mastering something together. Martin decided he had a calling to be an interpreter for signing. Learning American Sign Language, supporting the deaf and hard of hearing, becoming an ASL interpreter. Martin found his own answers to many of his questions he sought while at PSII, and now he is ready to embark upon his next adventure. Martin, the question I have for you today is, are you ready to come take this diploma and to graduate from PSII?
Robbie is an artist whose preferred medium of expression is graphic novels and illustration. He has a style that's personal, drawing the reader into a character's experiences, and yet wide open in scope. His stories explore the entire spectrum of human personality and perspective, and portray the world as it is now and how it could become. His work is, at heart, hopeful. Two of the major projects Robbie has undertaken during his time with us here at PSII are: 1. A story set in the US in the 1930s that explores the experience of a trans woman who moves from the country to the city. For this piece, Robbie collaborated with a number of other learners to research the time period, not just for the societal aspects, but for the technology, economy, fashion, and aesthetics. Robbie paid close attention to how his story would be perceived and demonstrated a typical for Robbie sensitivity about messaging and a commitment to compassion and truth. 2. His second story portrayed a time in the future when our planet had become so polluted that the air is toxic. In this entirely silent piece, he takes the perspective of a young boy who builds a robot that represents so much more than just a toy. Dedicated to social justice, Robbie has tackled topics that include the perception and treatment of people living with AIDS, and wrote a deeply moving piece on the experience of people on the autism spectrum. Robbie does not shy away from the challenging topics. Robbie knows he wants to pursue a career in art and is currently planning to attend the visual arts program at Camosun. However his educational path unfolds, I know that Robbie will be putting stories out into the world that touch people's hearts, that will acknowledge the breadth of what it means to be human, and that will instill compassion into his readers. I'm looking forward to picking his books off the shelf at the local bookshop and losing myself in the pages between the covers. Congratulations on your graduation.
It's a cyber.
It is. Oh yeah, Robbie made the cyber.
Yeah, like
It was the background photo of my phone for quite a while, but Robbie needle felted that back in grade 9.
You know, some people are blessed with names that are just too accurate in describing who they are and their characteristics. And this next learner has a really powerful name. Max. Max power, maximum overdrive, to the max. So I like to say. Max is a young man who lives each moment like it's the max. When he sings, he pours his heart and his soul into every word. When he writes and he plays music, he applies the totality of his talent and musical knowledge to create catchy and memorable songs. When he talks about hockey, you better believe he knows more than you do, and he isn't afraid to turn up the expertise to the max. When he shares his enthusiasm for something he has created, or his displeasure with something someone else has made, it's guaranteed that all will be delivered at max volume with max enthusiasm. He's analytically astute, statistically savvy, musically musical, and far better at wordplay than I am. Max and I got to share a unique experience together while traveling in Europe with a school 2 years ago, when Max, his father James, and I all decided to stay after the rest of them had head back to Canada and ride the rails from Milan to Prague, where Max and his family would soon live for a brief time. The train ride was nothing short of epic. We lived our own Agatha Christie novel with outsmarting, smooth-talking, cantankerous train attendants, inquisitive Interpol agents, and even solving the mystery of who spilled an entire bag of crushed potato chips all over the floor of our sleeper room. It was Max. And that was before the brief detour breaking out of jail in Germany in the middle of the night. Achtung, I've said too much. But since returning to Canada, Max has discovered he has a gift for music, composing his own original music, now on SoundCloud, check it out, and taking center stage as lead male vocalist in our PSII jam band. Max, you are the embodiment of your name. You enjoy life to the max, and you have shown me that when it comes to staying true to yourself, there's no maximum. And so I will end with this, what I will call Max's maxim. Anton, can we wrap this up? I have to go. Well, Max, I have one more gift for you before you leave, before you head off, a fresh plug-in for you to compose your next song with, a new set of virtual bass guitar sounds, and as I expect, is that you play with them beyond your minimum.
It is my great privilege to be able to talk a little bit about Memory. Are you back there, Memory? Wave, Memory. I can't see that. Ah, there she is. I had the great honor the other night of being one of only 4 people who were allowed to watch a live performance of VAB at Mary Winspear Centre in Sydney. Memory did a solo from Giselle, which is a classical ballet. When I saw her on the stage, I was really moved. I was moved by 2 things that to me really categorize Memory. 1, serenity, and 2, focus. This is a young woman who studied here in Canada for a number of years in a different language, goes to school in the morning, every afternoon and evening goes to dance. Tremendous focus. And at the same time, tremendous serenity. Whenever I ask her to do something, she accepts it. Go figure. She does her work. She puts herself into it. And she really is literally one of those people whose calm presence is such a strength to the people around her. And I have such admiration for her. Now, Memory, along with Yuka last night, were recognized at the awards celebration for VAB as being the top 2 academic students from all the other ones that they've done. Now, Memory next year will continue her studies at VAB in the Bridge program, 2 more years, and subsequent to that, graduation, I'm sure will pursue a distinguished career in dance. And wherever it is you go, Memory, you're going to leave me with that impression of serenity and focus, which to me is a really good lesson for all of us. So I'm sure your family misses you, as I said about Daniel's. But like Daniel's parents, yours are proud of you, and they have every right to be. And I'm going to miss you next year. I won't have anybody around to raise their eyebrows at me gently when I do something that's not considered quite correct. And I'm sure I'll have others there, but we'll miss you, and congratulations. All the best, Memory. You'll go places.
probably really getting sick of me now. I'm sorry. We are getting close to the end. Sydney. There you are. Sydney is a supremely talented graphic designer and a fierce advocate for human rights, specifically the rights of people living with disabilities. The way that she marries this graphic talent with her passions for advocacy is powerful, and her designs can be seen on websites, city buses, and in promotional material. In her 11th grade year, Sydney landed a summer job with the BC Ed Access Society. When Tracy, the executive director, called me for a reference check, the questions she asked all amounted to, essentially, is she really as impossibly perfect for this position as she seems? To which I responded with an enthusiastic yes. What had originally been slated as a summer job turned into a year-round position that expanded to include running group sessions for youth and an invitation to join the board. Sydney is not only a strong communicator through her design work, but also in speech and in writing. She's offered numerous sessions over her 2 years here, and they've always been well attended, carefully crafted, and insightful. Sydney has written so many letters, I can't even count them, to different organizations, the Royal BC Museum, Oak Bay City Council, BC Transit, etc., 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 advocating for changes to bylaws and policies that will lead to greater accessibility. She has already impacted policy before she's even graduated high school. Next year, Sydney and Wish. I couldn't get through Sydney's grad speech without commenting on her connection to Wish in particular and dogs in general. Sydney has an extensive knowledge of dog breeding, dog training, and dog health. In fact, it has sometimes been a challenge to make sure not all her inquiry work and artwork is somehow related to dogs. Sydney and Wish will be going to Waterloo to pursue a degree in global business and digital arts. I'm excited to hear about everything she learns and to see the impact she makes. Congratulations, Sydney, on your graduation. Wishing you all the best.
Okay. Congratulations, everyone. Here I will be touching on an individual I have had such joy to work with. Noelle's curious mind is truly inspiring. She has such intense focus for her passions and path, yet still manages to save time and energy to explore the abundance of things that spark her interest. It's very fun for her teachers because you know she'll be interested in practically anything you put forward to her. Noelle was one of the first young people I worked with during my initial practicum 2 years ago, making her one of my very first exposures to teaching. And what a great exposure for a new teacher to have to contribute to their confidence they've made the right career choice. My experiences with Noelle have been an excellent introduction for me to inquiry learning due to her sense of wonder and generation of awesome ideas. Noelle thrives in connection to others and seeks it out in such a diversity of places, making her a valuable member of all communities she's a part of. She's so warm and open and makes anyone feel welcome. She's always up for being involved in or organizing collaboration and is very apt at taking a leadership role. which she has much formal experience with management in cadets and informal in many areas. And her courage, humility, and empathy are just a few characteristics that make her so fitting for those leadership roles. She's always willing to offer her guidance to her peers, which is so valuable for us teachers. Noelle's passion for connection begins in her smaller communities, such as home, school, and cadets, and many, many more, and extends to the global level with her sense of responsibility, social and environmental responsibility, and backing that with action. Conversation with Noelle is very engaging, making it quite a challenge to stay on schedule with our meeting times. She is such a deep thinker and such a wonderful sense of humor, my favorite of qualities. Though Noelle is pursuing a career in physics research, her skills and interests are very well-rounded. She's a talented visual artist and storyteller. She is fascinated by the creatures who share our planet, and she's a passionate outdoors person, to name just a few. Noelle is very motivated and independent. As her org teacher this year, I found myself in disbelief regarding how little guidance she needed in preparing for her post-PSII life. Almost every time I offered support, she was already on top of it or had plans to be. Now, of course, Noelle isn't perfect. She is human, and such an individual doesn't exist, though she always impresses me with the way she seeks to identify and understand her challenges and stand right up to them in ways that took me much longer, or I have yet to be able. She's a blossoming scientist, and I look forward to seeing her contributions to a better understanding of this world, our place in it, and our path towards the future. She will continue to enrich any community she's a part of, and any team will be grateful to have her working by their side. When I see individuals like Noelle enter the grown-up world, it fills me with hope for our future. It has been such a pleasure working with her and an honor being part of her learning journey. Thank you so much, Noelle, for enriching my teaching experience.
Now it's my privilege to talk about Yuka, but I can't see her. Yuka, where are you? Oh, there she is. She's way at the back. Now, Yuka came here a little bit late. I think it was about October, November, and she managed through that time to not only catch up, but to actually excel in all her studies. And as I've got to know Yuka better over this last year and a half, I've really been impressed about a number of things about her. Jessica earlier alluded to one of you as being an artist and a scientist. Well, that, in my opinion, is what Yuka is all about. She's a passionate artist, dances beautifully, and she's focused in her dance. But she's also, as she's come here, developed a real interest in the environment and social causes. As a group, we studied the novel The Keeper and Me by Richard Wagamese, a novel about a young First Nations person who had a bad experience and tries to reconnect with his roots. That moved Yuka. It moved to her to explore what was in it for her, what it meant to her, and how she might use that knowledge and translate it to her own life, to her own learning. There was an exhibition of Emily Carr's early work down at the museum. She went down there. She learned, she understood, and she applied that learning. And that's what I really, really respect about her. She's not just one to scratch the surface, she wants to dig in. Lately, as I said, interested in the environment, but also in nutrition and food. Obviously, being a dancer, very important to her. So recently, she's decided to study and to become a vegan. And that's been a journey for her as well. So I like the idea of journey with Yuka because she's on her way to somewhere. She's going to study ballet for the next 2 years at VAB, perhaps become a dancer, perhaps become a scientist. We don't know yet. But I also have a personal thing that I need to mention about Yuka. I was writing a little book for my grandson who's 6 years old. And I got the story all right. It was sort of a takeoff in the Odyssey, the Greek Odyssey. And Yuka illustrated the novel for me. It was a novella, let's call it that. She did it cheerfully and she did it beautifully. And so my grandson, this is one of the proudest moments of my life, Yuka, at show and tell at his school, held up the book and said, "This is the book my grandfather wrote and was illustrated by one of his friends. This is the best book I've ever had in my life." Yuka, that touched me, and I hope it touched you. But wherever life takes you, Yuka, you can be sure that there'll be somebody here thinking about you all the time. So congratulations, best wishes, and again to your parents. Yuka is a jewel. Come on up, Yuka. Congratulations.
Zara is determined, tenacious, and skilled at asking challenging inquiry questions. Much of her learning while here at PSII has been about cell biology and the human body. She's investigated how induced pluripotent stem cells can be used for medical research and testing, has analyzed the link between stress and preeclampsia, and has designed a device that sits inside the trachea and is capable of delivering brachiodilators to an asthmatic person in response to constriction of the airways. These questions she's asked have allowed her to acquire expertise and vocabulary in an area that most high school learners never go to. And it's all been because of her motivation and her concern for people who are suffering. Zara is determined to use medical engineering to help those who are in pain lead better lives. She has the problem-solving strength, out-of-the-box thinking, and skill at tying together diverse pieces of information in novel ways that will lead to a great many ideas for improving treatment. She has the tenacity to pursue an innovative line of thinking until she reaches a conclusion. It's probably no surprise, then, to let you know that Zara was accepted into the biomedical engineering program at UVic. This is no easy feat, but Zara persisted through the challenging times during her studies, and now has the opportunity to pursue her dreams. Zara, we wish you all the best as you work towards your undergrad degree. Keep asking questions. Apply what you're learning to come up with innovative solutions, and remember to look up every once in a while from your work to remember where you're going. That vision can be your touchstone when things are hard. Congratulations on your graduation.
Well, I get to talk about Tyler Smith. If I was going to create a tagline for Tyler that went, sort of on Tyler Smith, the website, tylersmith.ca or .com, it would be Tyler, the smartest guy I know who does not realize how smart he is. So self-deprecating. I've been trying to tell him for years that he's smart, and I don't know if it's got through yet. Smart and not smart in that way. It's hard to capture his learning. You can see it happening, but it's kind of, if you want to try to get a sense of what it is that Tyler's learning at any given time, it's kind of like trying to take a little sip of water from a fire hose. There is just so much going on, and Tyler is doing it. And so to ask Tyler to sort of pause for a moment to tell you what it is that he's doing, that does not happen. But Tyler, luckily, is so able to multitask that he's able to do the thing he's doing while he is describing it to you. He learns so quickly that it's probably difficult for him to record that learning, and I know that has been a struggle and is a struggle for him. But honestly, if you're going to err on one side or the other, I'd take the learning. So it was a good choice. I have resorted to having to spy on him by turning the video on my phone so that I can look at it later to understand what on earth it was that we were just talking about. And eventually I figured out, usually. And I sometimes have to come back for follow-ups. But it works. That's my technique. So sorry, Tyler. And I haven't released anything to the public, and I will not. I understand that it's proprietary. And I do that because I don't want you to have to slow down for me. And I hope nobody gets in the way and forces you to ever have to slow down, because I know that that's probably something that you've experienced through your life in the past, and you don't need to do that. Watching an example, just watching Tyler create and customize a game inside a VR environment with people from around the world waiting for the right time when certain people haven't gone to bed yet and certain people have just woken up, so that he can design something for VR, inside VR, using controls he's created in the VR environment, is really something to see. It's something that I'm not used to seeing in most people's work. He takes in stride what many other people would love to be able to even begin to understand. Logic and connecting things and making things functional are so much in his natural makeup that asking him about it is kind of like asking a fish about water. They don't know what you're talking about. This genius would be annoying if Tyler wasn't just so easy to get along with. He has a great sense of humor. He has free-flowing conversations continually, and I'm going to miss those, with anyone around him on almost any topic that is being discussed at the time. Different people are coming and going, and Tyler is sort of holding court while he's also probably programming something really complicated. I hope that at some point he comes to realize fully just what it is that he has to offer the world, because it's a lot. Come on up, Tyler.
Thank you. They saved the best for last. I'm only saying that because Tristan's my son. Okay. The first two qualities that come to mind when I think of Tristan are strength and wisdom. Oh. It's okay. Oh. That's a dog in the background for those of you who are at home. Yeah. Oh. Okay, I'm going to start that one again. The first two qualities that come to mind when I think of Tristan are strength and wisdom. Following closely behind that is a remarkable combination of imagination and curiosity. As a small child, that meant he explored everything in the world around him, I do mean everything, and created countless elaborate stories. I had a hard time getting a word in edgewise. As a youth, this has matured into an ability to take the perspective of people around him, to see the world through the eyes of his friends and peers, and to have empathy for for their experiences, even if he's never been in their situation before. This empathy is one of the reasons that Tristan's so able to connect with people around him, regardless of age, demographic, or personal history. He sees people as people, without prejudgment. At the same time, Tristan possesses a strong sense of justice. This manifests in both his own commitment to being an honorable human being and also to taking care of the world and people around him. He's the person who picks up garbage on the way home in order to make the streets cleaner, the young man who offers to help wash an elderly neighbor's car, and the son who unpacks the groceries and really helps out in countless other ways around the house. He knows who he wants to be in the world, and he lives by that. Next year, Tristan will be moving to Nanaimo to attend Vancouver Island University's Bachelor of Science in Nursing program. Following this, he's planning to work in the rehabilitation of people with life-altering injuries. With quiet nobility, a fine-tuned sense of humor, and a core of inner strength, I know Tristan will be a pillar to those who are scared and in pain. Canada so desperately needs more Indigenous healthcare professionals to bring justice to a system that's been failing people for generations. Tristan, you have both the ancestral heritage and the personal qualities to make a powerful impact. While I'm sad that you'll be leaving home, I'm going to miss living with you a tremendous amount. I'm also immeasurably excited for you to start your own life. Congratulations, you're ready.
These are Jessica's words. Concluding remarks. I feel so much joy when I look out at all of you. I feel so much respect when I listen to the words that have been spoken in honor of your learning and your accomplishments. I feel so much hope and excitement when I think of your future plans. At the same time, I have been holding in my heart a deep sadness that thousands of children who attended residential schools never made it to their graduation. For those who did, the graduation often represented what they had survived: forced labor, physical, sexual, and emotional abuse, and loss of their siblings and schoolmates. It would have imposed a celebration of the most twisted sort, that of celebrating a forced disconnection to family and culture. I mention this not because I want to take anything away from you, but as a call to use your own skills, your own knowledge, and your efforts to leave this world better than it is right now. Even with this sadness, I feel so much hope because I know that each one of you is leaving with a knowledge of self and with an understanding of how an individual can impact on society. To end with perhaps an overused but no less poignant quote by Margaret Mead: "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." Congratulations.
Thank you for joining us today, and congratulations to the graduating class of 2021.